Kindergarten, it's Miss Bird here. We're going to be doing an art lesson in just a moment. I've got some materials, I've got some paint, I've got a paintbrush. So we're going to have a look at that in just a second. Now, if you don't have any paint, I have a different activity for you. In your booklet, you will find a sheet that looks like this. This sheet is strips, but makes up a picture. The problem is the strips are all in the wrong order. What you need to do is to cut out all of the dotted lines to cut the strips out. So you will have 1, 2, 3, 4 strips. You then need to put the strips in the correct order to make a picture of an apple tree. You will then glue it on the piece of paper, and then you will be able to colour your apple tree in. Now, if you do have paint, we're going to do a different activity. We're going to be doing some printing using flowers. So some of the materials that you will need some paint. Now, one colour that you will need is green. If you don't have green, I'm going to show you how to make green. Now, it's good to have a couple of different colours for your flowers. Now, something else you will need is one paintbrush. We won't be using this much though. You will need a piece of paper. And the last thing you will need, I'm just grabbing it, is some flowers. So if you go out into your garden, you will be able to collect some flowers. Now, the best sort of flowers that you could use are daisies, or even roses will create a nice swirl. I don't have any of those in my garden at the moment. I have a very new garden and it doesn't have a lot of flowers in it. So the flowers that I was able to pick, I have some lavender, and I have a few different pieces of lavender here. So you can see one's darker and one's lighter, and one's longer and one's shorter. So they're slightly different. So I've got some lavender. I've got some little tiny pansies. And the last thing I was able to find in my garden was some carnations. I've also picked a couple of leaves so that I can use those if I want to. All right, we're going to get started. So collect all your materials first before you start painting, okay? So let's have a look at what we're going to be making. Before you start painting, it's really important that you talk to mum or dad about it. Don't just go and get out your paint. You need to ask mum, dad, or whoever it is that is looking after you. Now, once you have your materials all ready, the first colour you're going to need is some green. Now, I can put a bit of green on my plate like that. Or if you don't have green, the only colours you will need are blue and yellow. To make green, you just put a bit of yellow and a dot of blue. Mum or dad will be able to help you with this. So I'm going to use my paintbrush and I'm going to mix the yellow and the blue together, and as you can see, when you mix yellow and blue together, it makes the colour green. Once I've done that, before I get started actually, I'm going to put a bigger piece of paper underneath this so that I don't get any paint on my table. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the stems for my flowers. So I'm just going to paint some stems onto my paper. So there's one stem. Here's another stem. might even decide you want to have a slightly wavy stem. And I'm going to have another stem over here. And that's all you need to do for your stems. The next part, this is the fun bit. Now that I have done the stems, I get to print my flowers. So I can use the colours that I have here. I've got this red, I've got blue, and I've got yellow. Now if you'd like to make some other colours, you could mix blue and red. They will make purple. I've already shown you how to make green. And if you mix yellow with a bit of red, that will give you orange. But I don't need too many colours to do my artwork. Now the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to get my carnation, and I'm going to use red. And I'm just going to stick the end of my flower into the paint like that. Now I'm going to lift it up, and as you can see, it has paint on it now. I go over to my artwork, and at the top of the stem, I'm just going to place my flower and lift up, place my flower and lift up. And there we go. I've done 2 of my flowers like that. Now I'm not going to put this on the table because I don't want to get paint on my table. So one of the safest places to put it is here with the paint. I'm now going to get one of my little pansies, and it's very, very delicate, this one, so I need to be really careful. I'm going to use yellow. I'm going to stick that one in to the paint very, very carefully. Lift it up. Okay, and that petal just folded over. So now I've got the paint on my pansy, and I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to print, lift it up, and I'm going to print over here. There we go, and whoop, lift it up. I've now got I've used 2 different flowers to make 4 prints on my paper, and each of the shapes are a little bit different. The last one I'm going to do is I'm going to use my lavender, and for this I'm going to use the blue paint. So as you can see, the whole flower doesn't go in there, but that's okay. I can just drag it along like that, and that will get it on there. And now I've got the paint on my flower, and I'm going to go over here, push it down very, very gently, and lift it up. Oh, look at that, completely different shape. And if I wanted to, I can do another one here so that there's 2 flowers coming off that stem. Looks fantastic, doesn't it? And I'm going to put that back on the plate where I won't make a mess. Now, if you really want to challenge yourself, you can get a leaf and you can paint some green paint on your leaf. There we go. I've put the paint on my leaf, and I'm going to put it down, gently push it down, lift up, and I have my first leaf print. I don't even have to use a paintbrush to do that. I can stick it straight into the paint if I want, just like we did with the flowers. Lift it up, and over here I'm going to do a leaf print here. Ta-da! So that is our flower artwork that we're doing. For another challenge, you might decide you don't want stems coming out of the ground like I did. So I'm going to show you a different way of doing this. I've got a new piece of paper. Now for this one, I'm going to use another paintbrush, and I'm going to, in fact, I'm even going to make a little bit of purple. So to make purple, No, I don't need yellow. Yellow's the wrong colour. I need some red and a bit of blue. I mix those colours together. And this one, it's quite a brown purple, and the colour that comes out will depend on the type of paint you have. Alright, so I'm going to use that. Now, to do this, all I'm going to do is to do a vase. So my flowers are going to come out of a vase. To do a vase, I do a straight line across. I come in a little bit. So it's a little bit like a short triangle without the point coming off. Now I'm going to go around like a circle to create the vase shape. Now once I've made my vase, I can now paint it. So I just go back, I've done my outline, and I go back into the middle and I fill it in. And that is my picture of a vase of flowers where I have printed the flowers using real flowers. Okay, so have fun with your art lesson. I can't wait to see the finished products. If you are able to, if you take a picture and send it to your teacher, I know they would love to see them. And so have lots of fun, enjoy doing some art. Bye.